Back. Well, of course, we're all over the President's cabinet reshuffle. Let's go live to our reporter Lester Kiewit, who's outside Parliament for more reaction. Lester?
That's right, Sean. We're still bringing you analysis following last night's cabinet reshuffle. With me is constitutional law professor Pierre de Vos. Pierre, if you could just explain to us from a constitutionality point of view, when does a minister stop becoming a minister? Is it when the president verbally informs them, or is it when the next minister takes his or her oath of office? Because we know government business continues, things need to be signed. So what happens in this interim period?
Well, somebody has to be in charge, so it depends on what the president's letter says to the outgoing minister. If he says that you are dismissed with immediate effect, then that minister stops being the minister. There might be another arrangement until the new minister is sworn in, so it really depends on what the president's instructions are.
In a somewhat almost a preemptive strike, we had opposition parties approaching the Constitutional Court yesterday, the EFF, asking the court to somewhat enforce the Speaker of Parliament to investigate the President based on the eNCA judgment last year. What is, to your interpretation, the basis of their case?
Well, they are saying that in the eNCA case, the Constitutional Court found that Parliament, specifically the National Assembly, has a constitutional duty to hold the President accountable. And they are saying, after the judgment against the President, in which the court found that he had been in breach of his constitutional obligations and his oath of office, the Parliament didn't do anything. So Parliament needs to do something. They say, well, it's open to Parliament to decide how to deal with this, but they are then continuing to ask that Parliament appoints, or that court forces the Speaker to appoint a committee to investigate whether the President's breaches of the Constitution and the law was serious enough to warrant impeachment, which would be the removal of the President with a two-thirds majority.
Now, the DA and the EFF have now already submitted notices that they will be calling for a vote of no confidence in the President. If you could just detail what is then that difference between the House calling for a vote of no confidence and impeachment. It goes a bit deeper than the President, just you losing his pension and things like that.
Yes, so we have a parliamentary system of government, so the Parliament actually elects the President, and the Parliament can also fire the President. The firing of the President is really when there's a vote of no confidence passed in the President with a simple majority in Parliament. So that would really require some or all of the members of the governing party to support a vote of no confidence. That is a political process. That is very different from impeachment, where somebody is going to be removed not only because he or she has lost the political support of Parliament, but because he or she did something bad. A serious breach of the Constitution, of the law, a serious incapacity or incompetence. And then when that happens, a two-thirds majority must vote for it, and then of course the President loses all his and her or her benefits.
We're going back to that application to the Concord by the EFF. There's been concern by judicial overreach, the fuzziness between the separation of powers, so to speak. Is there concern, you as a constitutional law expert, about the increasing role of the courts into the operations of Parliament and the executive?
Well, the Constitutional Court obviously has to enforce the Constitution, but a lot of these issues are really political issues. When people are unhappy about things that the President did or didn't do, those are often political questions. So there comes a point where the Parliament it's very difficult for the court to intervene in these matters, because the court is not supposed to get involved in purely political matters. And there's also a danger, of course, that ordinary citizens, instead of becoming active and making their voices heard, they will just assume that the courts will actually do what they are, to put it bluntly, are too lazy to do.
But is there something to be said about groups or political parties approaching the courts so regularly. If we look with the social grants matter and various other cases, asking the courts to intervene means that there is a political process that is not coming to fruition.
Yes, there's a problem in the sense that whenever there's a system in which people feel that the political process has broken down, when the ordinary rules are not actually followed, or they are only followed in form but not in substance, then people tend to go to the court, because the court has to actually look at the real facts. When you go to the court, you cannot tell lies, you cannot mislead, and so people think that is the only place where there can still be some kind of accountability. In the long term, I don't think that is sustainable, because there really needs to be political accountability and not only legal accountability.
Pierre de Vos, thank you very much. Constitutional law expert here, giving us some of the constitutional rules regarding the cabinet reshuffle, especially also with the court action by the economic freedom fighters, and also by the votes of no confidence motions put forward by both the Democratic Alliance and the EFF. That's probably going to come to a head here in the National Assembly when Parliament reconvenes at the end of April. Sean.